dispel some of my anxiety is one, acknowledging it, but then saying it out loud I say it in the beginning to disarm myself of it.
Elaborate. Right.
So what I like to do, and I don't know what it is, I'll come in shaking, but as soon as I say, hey, I'm a little nervous. Not gonna lie, I'm really excited to see you. I'm a little nervous, but we're gonna get through this. As soon as I say that, because now I've made myself vulnerable.
It disarms everybody.
I disarmed everything.
Wow.
I acknowledge it, and for whatever reason, now it stops. I'm not shaking them. He said, yo, you're in the show.
Yeah, Cae Green. We are live. What's happening, though?
What's good, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well. First and foremost, I appreciate you coming on. The first episode of the RENTPAID podcast. RENTPAID was built off of Rory Vaden's rent axiom, which is success isn't owned. It's rented, and that rent is due every single day. And I bring you on here because not only do you know me and not only do I know you, but I know you embody those characteristics. You pay that rent every single day. That's why you're in the position you're in now. What's up, though?
Listen, flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you. Everywhere. I appreciate that. And just, just the history that we have. I know what you're coming from, what I'm coming from. I know that daily from time we've put in so much work. And I'm immensely proud of you. You know what I mean? And just the journey we both had where we are right now. So, you know what I mean? You're a solid man, and I feel like I'm pretty solid. So
you definitely are. I think we're all cut from the same cloth for the most part.
Love. Question real quick before we go any further. Are you getting any feedback?
You know what? Let me turn off my speakers behind me because I'm probably getting feedback from that. Can you still hear me good?
I can hear you well, and that was better. Boom. That's
much better?
Much better.
All right, so I'm gonna turn you down. I want to put you in my headphones, but I think we're good now. I don't think the mic's gonna pick up the computer.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's. I didn't even give you an intro. Let me give you an intro. Cae Green, good friend, sister, life partner. Like I said before, I've had the privilege of getting to knowing her for like the past 10 years, and she just happens to be a music creative at Netflix. So I welcome you guys, Cae Green.
Yo, thank you again. I can't thank you enough. And again, how proud I am of you and what you're doing. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited about your movement. I'm excited about the progressions you're making daily. And look, I'm watching you, you watching me, and we're going to continue to motivate each other to get it to the next level. We're doing well now, but there's more to go. So thank you.
That's a fact. So let's dive right into it. Like I said, I know you, but let's get a bit into your story. Where you started, some of the trials and tribulations you've been through, and where you're at now.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go way back and start with like just the foundation. Like I am the child of a woman that migrated from Jamaica to the Bronx. I was born in Mount Vernon, raised for the most part in the Bronx, moved down south with my mom, stacked enough bread as a nurse. And, she bought a home. I was culture shocked by it being from New York, but that was probably step one in me not being afraid to change location. Like I find like a lot of people I grew up with, I don't see immense differences in their life. They kind of did what their parents did, kind of followed traditions. And I think a big part of me being not afraid to leap is my mom saying, yo, we leaving the Bronx. Or one, I'm leaving Jamaica, going to New York. Then being like, yo, we had enough in New York. Now we going down south because I could buy a home for my daughter and put you in a really good school and put me in a completely different environment. Like I'm talking about from the Bronx to Loganville, Georgia, where, kids had horses and cars at 16. I was like, I came down there with a Metro card. Like I can't use this no more. You feel me? So that was the first step in just like, okay, to get what I want, I can't be afraid to move. I have to go to where the opportunity is. And my mother always taught me that. So yeah, in Georgia, I stayed for a while, went to Georgia State University, which I happened to meet you and so many people that we know right now who are doing well It was in that circle at Georgia State. You know, I met you at a panel for people wanting to get on in music, and it started there. Like, you know, I had an internship at Radio One on Marietta Street down there in Georgia. From there, I worked at I worked at different music studio recording studios. You know, from there I met, you know, Boothium, Akon's brother, who at the time was vice president of A&R for Island Def Jam, and he gave me an opportunity, or really just a look. Right? He just said, "Michaela, you got to air, and I want to know what you're finding." And you know, he let me, you know, work with the songwriters, the artists, and the producers there, and it really just from there, just I kept building on top of it. I started working at CSAC, which is a publishing rights organization. Taught me a lot about publishing and licensing at that time, which was big. And I was just trying to find where I knew I wanted to work in music. I just didn't know what lane would be mine. You know, where could I put my name on which lane? And at that time, I found out about music supervision, which is, you know, a lot of people don't know about the role of music supervisor. And, you know, they don't know that there's a person, right, who when you're playing a video game, when you're watching an ad, when you're watching TV, when you're watching a film, when you hear that music, there's somebody who has to organize that. Right. There's somebody who's not only, you know, sometimes you get to select the music, often you get to select the music, but there's a person selecting music, licensing that music, and closing those deals. And I was like, how do you do that? And from there, it was like, well,
you've been on that for a while.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, how do I do that? I want to do that. I want to do that. And right there is just like, okay, where do I get the information? Because it wasn't readily available to me. The people around me in the studios, at the labels, music supervision is relatively young, right? They didn't really come up with this title to like the late 80s. So, and where people are getting credits. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if Atlanta is going to be it for me to do this. I went back to New York for maybe 2.5 years and found out that New York wasn't it either. And I was like, you know what? I got to put my big girl pants on and I got to go to LA. I got to go to where the movies and the TV is happening. And almost 5 years ago now, I packed up my Jeep and literally drove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I drove to LA and got a studio apartment, and I stalked music supervisors. I made a list of everybody I saw in the credits, and I was like, where are they? I want to find their numbers. I didn't always get an answer, but one day, maybe 6 months into coming into LA, the Guild of Music Supervisors, just like you have a director's guild or a writer's guild, there's a Guild of Music Supervisors. They had a one-day conference at a LA film school, and my homegirl that I met at Island Def Jam, Adina, she was an intern at the time. She's now working at Sony ATV and is a big wig. But she was like, okay, pull up, like come to this conference. All of the music supervisors in LA will be here. If you want to be a music supervisor. And I was like, boom, already, I'm coming. Yeah. I show up and I collected every business card. Like my Rolodex looked crazy. I was in there smiling. I met everybody from every studio, and I followed up. And I followed up, and my luck, as luck would have it, Inaudible Productions, that's a production company, music supervision company, a state management company out here in Sherman Oaks, California. They were like, we need help. They just brought me in to have like a conversation. That led to an internship that led to, hey, you're actually pretty persistent. Do you want to be an assistant here? Because it's a small office. I'm talking about 4 or 5 people, run by Peter Afterman. Google him. You wouldn't think much of Peter if I'm just saying his name, but Google him and see how important he is. He's been managing the estate of James Brown forever, and he's probably one of the most exploited catalogs that you can have in the game is James Brown. Everybody samples James Brown. Like his catalog just flips over and over again. You know, he's blessed. You know, and Peter happens to manage that, and I just learned like the wealth of information I got working at Inaudible was it's unsurmountable. You can't compare it to anything. You're not going to get that in school. You're not going to get that at any seminar. I had to feet to the ground, be in that situation. And thank you to Peter Afterman, Allison Litton, Margaret Yen, who I now work with at Netflix. You know, they gave me everything, the entire game, in this one small office with 3 rooms in Sherman Oaks. So Yeah, and from there, you know, Margaret 2 years ago made the decision to go on to Netflix as Netflix was building out their music department and they're ramping up their original content. You know, she was recruited. You know, they snatched Margaret up, somebody who has 20 something years in the game doing music supervision. It was like, we want you in house.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they threw the bag at her. So that's 2 years ago. And I stayed there just learning. And she would never say this, but Margaret reached back. She put my name in that circle for Netflix to contact me. You know what I mean? And I say that to say every move I made was somebody like I shook hands with, right? E telling me, hey, come to this thing in LA that I couldn't have known about if she didn't tell me, you know, and then meeting someone else who then says there's a position at Netflix. She didn't even tell me. What she did was go to recruitment and say, just check this girl out, give her an opportunity for an interview. I interviewed with 11 different people to get the position I'm in right now.
Yeah.
It was intense. But yeah, so now I'm happy to call myself a music creative for original independent film at Netflix. And
oh man, I love to hear that. I got to put the little clapping sound effects behind us when we edit this up.
I love it. Yeah.
When we edit this up, and not to cut you off, but I noticed you mentioned a lot of names, and how important are relationships in business or in your game?
Everything. When we didn't know what we were doing and we were just running around Atlanta, just trying to make moves and randomly having brands and business cards, one of the things, you know, I always said was like connecting the dots was a big mantra for me. Like, how do because it's like one of my favorite pieces of dialogue from The Wire, which happens to be one of my favorite series, is like, Dookie, the character named Dookie, he goes, how do I get from here to the rest of the world? And the answer is in your relationships. I had to shake those hands. If I didn't meet you, E, because here's the thing, this is how your relationships multiply. If I don't meet you who says, yo, Cae, this thing is going on over here, so that I can shake some more hands, and they singing my name, and it's persistence, right? Like me, or it's been said that 80% of the game is just showing up. And I've always showed up repeatedly, even if I felt like maybe I wasn't equipped with all the right tools, right? You know, the reason I don't feel like I made it as being like an A&R is like I don't have that bulldog mentality per se.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I don't think you always, and you know, people would knock me over the head for saying this, but I don't think you always have. There's subtleties in this too.
Right.
You could be a bulldog all you want, but sometimes that turns people away from you and it ruins your relationships.
1000%.
To me, it's
mentioned a lot of names.
Listen, to me, I think I navigated through subtleties. I'm persistent. I show up, and you know that I'm gonna do my best, and I'm not gonna kill these bridges for you, right? Like I know Peter had a movie. It was called Bolden, and you know, if you look up the producers behind that, that's a billionaire family behind the Hyatt hotels, and he welcomed us all to Warner Brothers Studio to see, you know, his third version of this film. And it's about Buddy Bolden, who is a black trumpeter from the South, and I was the only black person in this room, right? I know Peter wanted me along just because he was like, we would like to have this voice, and I'm literally in there with a billionaire and some execs from Warner Brothers. And who am I, right? At the time, I'm like, yo, who's Cae?
Right.
I think Peter was like, yo, I just need you to speak up, like give your honest opinion. And I did that in a room with some very important people. And even that was super beneficial to me. Like these relationships, the fact that Peter invited me to this room, right? We always talked about getting a seat at the table. How do you do that? Showing up, being solid, you know, a lot of it is just me being solid, I think, you know, and that's not, you know, I say that humbly, like
you can.
That's the part that's propelled me forward every time. You know, if I'm short and lacking somewhere else, I will figure that part out.
Right.
Show up, shake hands, look people in the eye, say your name firmly, say it again before you leave them. So you leave a lasting impression, and that's very important. Those relationships, 1000%.
It's super important. And I think one of the gifts that you have too is you always add value no matter where you go, you know, and I guess that's you being solid, but at the same time, it's like I want to bring you with me. You know what I mean? I want to bring you because no matter what room you walk into, you're gonna add value, and that's how you build businesses. That's how you build relationships. That's how you become successful.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people want to do business with people they like.
I agree.
You know, people want to do business with people they like and people that text them back or call them back. You know,
look, I'm sure there's been situations where it was like, yo, get her out of here. But guys, you know, I still feel super green. I'm gumshoeing this shit. Like, I'm not, pardon me if I can't cuss.
No, you're fine. Come on, stop it. Stop it.
Like, yeah. I'm super, even to the level that I'm at now, people be like, yo, she must be a wealth of information. And I feel I am. But also walking into this, I'm with people who are 12, 20-year execs at Lionsgate and DreamWorks. Like, I'm coming into a new level where I'm like, oh, I'm the baby again. 100%. And I love that.
Yeah.
Because every day I just, you know, it's those growing pains, because coming into the situation, the anxiety levels have been crazy, and we can get into that. But
we're gonna get into that. I want to talk about
listen, I'm just so impressed by my colleagues, and they're dumping so much information into me daily. I can't even. It's steady little notes that I'm taking all over my dining room table as we work from home in this quarantine. But
yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. A couple of things that you said that really stuck out to me, and like I said, I know you personally, but you've always had that intern mentality. Like, I'm always gonna go in a room and learn. I know that I know nothing. You know what I mean? That's it.
I'm fine with that. I know a lot of people posture like they come in a room like, and that's not my posture. And I could be 72 years old, God willing. I'm still coming in like a student.
Right.
And I feel like I could learn it from the person that's above me. I could learn it from the assistant. I don't care. Like, everybody has something to show me. And that's it. That's how I approach life.
That's it. That's it. That's a fact. That's a fact. And I mean, you're always going to learn, and you're always going to progress that way. It's like, it's a win-win. You can't lose when you think that way.
I believe.
You know what I mean? Because pride and ego doesn't kick in. It's like, listen, I know I don't know this, so I'm going to learn from you. I'm humble as possible.
And you know, a lot of people feel like you can't be a leader like that, but I don't think that's true, because
I agree with you.
Listen, my boy told me something that I thought was incredibly profound. It was just like, if you come into something saying, yo, I'm gonna be a leader, there's a certain level of vanity that you coming in with. Like, who told you? Like, I believe there are natural leaders. Your people will select the leader. They will call you to that position to lead. But if you say, I'm gonna take it, there's some vanity there. You're not really. It's not genuine.
It's not genuine.
So.
It's not genuine. Wow, I love that. It's super profound. Let me ask you, what are you excited about right now?
Everything. So I'm being a sponge, like I said. I right now working as a music creative, which is something that Netflix is really fleshing out. You know, if you've seen any of the releases, the press releases, Netflix wants to put out a new film or a piece of content every week for the year 2021. 2020 was big, right? We're all in a pandemic. We're all on our sofas, and Netflix is on. You could be at work and Netflix is on. So Netflix said, we gonna give you something new each and every week. You're not even gonna have to wait on us.
Wow, yeah.
It's special. So what that means for the music department is I've got about 25 films on my slate right now that we're working simultaneously, which is exciting, right? I'm building up an endurance that I never thought I could have. At Inaudible, we maybe did 8 films in a year. Right now, 25 on my plate that we're churning. So, and that's just in the independent film department. I'm not the way Netflix is, you know, divided. You know, you have your documentaries, you have your series, you have your studio film, you have your independent film, you have your family features, you have your animation. I'm just an independent film and some family features, and I've got 25 on my plate. And we're at the end of February, you know. But what I'm excited about, that's actually shooting in Atlanta right now is, and I can say this because it's been publicly announced, but They Clone Tyrone, starring John Boyega and Jamie Foxx. I'm really excited about that project, man.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack, you know, we are our soundtrack partners at Republic Records. I'm so excited. Just even Jewel Taylor, the director of this film, he's so involved with the music. They're so excited about music. So. Excuse me. That's probably what I'm most excited for. But yeah, there's a lot in the pipeline. There's a film with Allison Janney that's an action thriller, and I'm a fan of Allison Janney. So, you know, we'll see. I wish So I started this job during the pandemic, so I haven't been able to go to this Netflix building, but I can't wait till I can kind of immerse myself in that culture because I've always known the Netflix building is buzzing and people just going up and down these 13 flights of stairs. But
Yeah.
I'm hyped. I can't wait.
Oh man, that's just gonna catapult your career, something crazy. You're gonna be around that energy.
Whew.
You're gonna be a different person, Cae.
Listen, I've got new mentors, or I can't even really call them mentors, but just icons that I'm looking up to within the organization right now. You know, somebody like Elisa Nishimura, who's over our documentaries. If you don't know her, look her up. She's incredible.
What's the name?
Lisa Nishimura.
Lisa Nishimura. Okay.
Oh my goodness. She's a VP at Netflix, and I'm just so impressed by her. I'm on these Zoom meetings with her. Not Zoom, we use Google Hangouts, but Google Meets, I should say. But man, she's so impressive. And after my first group meeting with her, I decided to just kind of look up her record. Please do yourself a favor, everybody. She's crazy, and right now she's an icon to me that I'm currently working with. I can't believe it, and I'm taking I'm looking at how she posture. I look at how she sit, how her black. Like, see you know what I mean? Like what you
powerful. Okay.
Powerful. What everything that just happened with Dave Chapelle? How Dave Chapelle was like, "Yo, I got my rights back from and Netflix. You now have you can now put my my show back on your streamer." Lisa, these big moves. All right, look her. Just Google her. Google her.
All right. I'm gonna put her in the credits so everybody can look that up. Put on a little lower thirds on the bottom, so because I'm gonna look her up too. That's amazing. That's dope. That's dope. I cannot wait to see your next level. Okay, it's gonna be something crazy when you're walking through. Just oh man, I can just see the wardrobe. Like you're just walking through the building. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna be a different person.
Like I'm not even gonna lie. Like you know the people we started with. Like I'm trying to figure out. Again, it's still connecting the dots. Like what you got going, what I have going. I would like. By no means do I think I'm gonna get into Netflix and just sit here and rise. Like there's so much more I want to do. I still want to spread my wings in so many different ways when it comes to producing content and things of that nature. And the people that I'm around now, I'm just incredibly motivated to do more. And so, yeah, you know, with our little circle of friends, I just feel like there's a lot that can be done, and I'm plotting as I've always plotted, and it's coming. It's coming.
Yep. Let's talk about this anxiety a little bit, right? Because when you get to a certain level, the anxiety, it doesn't change. It gets worse. You know what I mean? Because you try to perfect your craft so much, you try to show up so much to the point where it's like, what if I don't show up? You know what I mean? So you're building this anxiety inside of you, and sometimes that could cripple people, right? So from you moving along the ranks and getting into Netflix, how has anxiety, how has it directed you?
I have not felt, I've always been, since I was a little girl, kind of timid. I can like once you know me, E, you know I can get loud or whatever. And be
she calls me E for E.T. All right, that was my DJ name back in the day.
How I met this brother is he was DJ E.T. All of this, all of this. Listen, that's how I know you. So
it's all good. It's love.
That's where he's coming from. But you know, as a kid, I was quiet, relatively so. Like, you know, I was raised a lot alone, right? My mom worked 2 jobs. I was a latchkey kid in New York. It was, yo, go to the crib, lock the door, don't open for nobody, don't answer no phones. That's what I know. So I spent a lot of time with music and myself. So now being in situations, Netflix is they like everyone in every department to be in all meetings, right? They pride themselves on being not this hierarchy, but more of a flat dynamic, right? Where you can give feedback to your superior and they got to eat that. Like you're supposed to take that. I've not been raised in that way. It's be quiet, do your work. And even in me going through navigating through labels and things of other jobs that I've had, it's, you know, you speak, you know your place, like know your place and you speak when it's appropriate. So, and I've always known how to follow the rules. And even in that, I had an anxious nature. Now Netflix is saying, nah, we need you to speak up. We need you to speak up now. And it's almost like, yo, you don't have no feedback, and that's something. Yes, I always have thoughts, right? My mind is racing a mile a minute. But again, like I say, I have these impressive colleagues, right? So day one, it was anxious, excited, right? Because I didn't even think I was going to get the job. The reason I think I was so calm during these interviews, because I was like, there's no way in hell I'm even getting this, right?
Wow, really?
I'm not even going to hold you. Like, that was my thought going in was, and it settled me. It actually gave me confidence. I was like, oh, they playing with me. They just want to, I was like, it's in the middle of Me Too right now. I was like, oh, they got to get a little black girl, I was like, all right. Yeah, I was like, I played a game, didn't even think. I was like, dang, they're gonna make me talk to 11 people and really not give me the job. So I just showed up comfortable like I'm talking to you, because I was like, there's no way in hell. Then they say, actually, here's the offer.
Ooh.
And I was like, one, I'll tell you this, everybody knows Netflix plays top of market. So the number, I was like, oh, shit, okay. That's what they call a bag. So naturally, somebody paying a certain amount of money for you, there's expectations, right?
Of course.
I'm like, yo, do I have that? Like, because that number says, ain't nobody paid me that for some work that I've already done. I've done the work, but I never done that. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to fuck this up. So I'm coming shaking. I'm excited to meet all these people, but the vice president of our department, I've been familiar with her work for years. You're telling me I got to talk to her real quick? I'm shook.
Yeah.
I'm shook. What has helped dispel some of my anxiety is, one, acknowledging it, but then saying it out loud. I say it in the beginning to disarm myself of it.
Elaborate. I like that.
I come into the room, I'm shaking, right? Amy Dunning is the VP of music for Netflix. Look up her history, like Elisa Nishimura. That's, to me, I'm like, how dare I? And I don't know where I get it from. It's not right, but because you deserve to be in any room to speak. But I had been conditioned for so long not to speak up, to know your place, that me coming into and having a one-on-one conversation with the Amy Dunning is terrifying to me. And I was like, I could fuck this up if I can't get over this thing. Because it's not cool for me, because she needs to trust that I can go to partners and speak on her behalf. And if I'm coming in shook just to talk to her,
right?
She trusts me to talk to partners and be a representative of our department.
Right.
So what I like to do, and I don't know what it is, I'll come in shaking, but as soon as I say, hey, I'm a little nervous. Not gonna lie, I'm really excited to see you. I'm a little nervous, but we're gonna get through this. As soon as I say that, because now I've made myself vulnerable.
Disarms everybody.
I disarmed everything.
Wow.
I acknowledge it, and for whatever reason, now it stops. I'm not shaking no more. I got it.
So you say that out loud to the.
I've said it to Amy. I've said it to my direct manager. Anytime I'm feeling that, and I'm hoping I say it enough to where I can now walk into a meeting, a room, wherever. And it's nothing to me, because I'm realizing what it is. I'm carrying it. I'm carrying this intense feeling in my chest, and I'm trying to hold it together, and it's making me shake more instead of letting it go and saying it. And now it's off me, and now it's a business.
Yo, I have goosebumps right now, Cae. That's the power of humility.
Yeah,
like that's powerful. You walk into a room and you state the obvious, like, listen, I'm nervous. And then once you feel like they know, now it's like they're not judging you, right? Yeah. And then at the same time, it humbles you, and like everybody's like, she's not trying to be in somebody she's not. Wow, I connect more with her. Now I'm really listening, because she's gonna tell me the truth.
And
that's a superpower.
Look at it like that, but yeah, that's what it is. I need you to know, like, I'm nervous.
That's a superpower.
And you know what I often get back? Yo, me too. I don't even look.
I'm feeling the same way as you. That's what I'm saying. You connect.
Yeah.
You connect. You connect, and they're like, wow, she told the truth. Okay, I feel the same way. You'd be surprised how many people feel that way in the room.
Yeah. And it shakes, it kills me to hit, or not kills me, but I'm just like, whoa, it blows me away to be like, really? You too? You feel this? Yeah. No, I completely relate. Like, let's just have a conversation. And then I'm like, okay, cool, we having a conversation. Now I can give you the information that I have and the experience I've had, right? It's that tension that we just like, we're holding on to it. You know, you feel like your voice is shaking for a little bit, and and as you try to correct that, it shakes more, and you're like, damn, like, so that's when I say it, and now it's off. It's out of my voice. It's out of my hands. It's out there. So boom, let's get to the information, and it's helped me immensely.
I love that. That's gonna help out a lot of people, including myself. That's definitely bars right there. So let's flip it a little bit. Okay. I'm an artist, right? How do I get my music into movies? How do I make that happen?
Right. It's complicated, but it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean?
Before you even answer that, how do you search for music?
Yeah. So now, honestly, my favorite thing to do is I'm looking for something that, this is gonna sound bad, but again, think about how heavy my workload is, how much of a volume we're dealing with. I need music that I can clear easily. If I like it, I need it to be able to cleared easily. And what's hard about urban music, right? So I'm working on a They Clone Tyrone. You can look up the premise, but you know, it's gonna be a lot of urban music. And the thing about our music is we love a sample. We love 5 dudes in the studio, all said they was producers. Everybody and their mom was a writer on that. That I'm gonna tell you right now, for thinking purposes, and if I need to clear a song quickly, nobody wants to deal with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of times I'm looking for easy clears, one-stop shop clears. Were you the writer and producer on that? Love it. The first thing is, I want to hear music that sounds really good. I'm just saying that a deterrent is it being complicated to clear.
Okay.
Now, granted, it's Netflix, and there's decent budgets that we're dealing with, so you know they can throw the bag at the problem. But for me, and that was me as an independent music supervisor as well. Like, I'm looking for library music if it's a small budget. That's another thing. Don't be afraid of libraries. Music libraries, they are, you know, you put your music in a library and it's so simple to clear. Right now, why people, if I'm on a big budget film, I don't want to go to library music just because, and this is no shade to people in libraries, but usually it's thought of to be like a lower quality, right? You go to the labels when you want the good custom shit, like, okay. But the library, you know, it's easy, quick, clear.
Right.
So yeah, I go to libraries to find music. I go to labels. I go to SoundCloud. I might go on Billboard and see who's hot. You know, sometimes I need something custom made, right? Maybe what I'm looking for a scene is not out there. And also, I think I need to clarify what I do now. As an independent music supervisor, I'm the one who, I get a script, I do a breakdown, I'm looking for where the music needs to be, what kind of music needs to live in this scene, and then I go on my hunt, right? And that's if the director of the film doesn't have their own ideas of what they want in the film. You gotta think, this, as a music supervisor, I'm employed by the production, right? It's their film. So I can say all day, this is the perfect song for this scene, but if the director and producers are like, nah, I don't like that shit, get the fuck out of here. Then I gotta find, so the customer service on my part is the director and the producers. A lot of times the director.
Okay.
So so that's what a music supervisor would do. As a music creative at Netflix, my job is more so to staff the film, right? So Netflix buys a script and they staff it with producers and the director, and they staff it with all the people. My job is to staff the music supervisor, come up with a list of composers to do the score. Depending on if it's a music heavy film, I might need to get an executive music producer or a songwriter if we're doing an original song for the film. Or, you know, because there's so much content on Netflix, I can't be a music supervisor for remember, it's 25 films. I can't be a music supervisor simultaneously for all of this. So my job is to find a dope music supervisor for each film, a dope composer, a dope, you know what I mean? And make sure they get along with the director we've employed and the producers that have been employed, you know? So that's more my job now, being in-house. And that's a lot of the things that would happen if you go in-house to a studio. Netflix is a tech company, but they're operating as a studio with all its original content right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to my question. I'm an artist. I'm looking to get my music
Yeah.
into movies. How do I make that happen?
You can go to a library. That's
Mhm.
that's one option. You can be signed. That's an option.
Mhm.
There are agencies who rep songwriters, who rep producers, who rep composers, who rep music supervisors. You can, pitch to an agency and hopefully they'll sign you. And you can work independently. You can be a
Yeah.
work for hire, but the thing is getting into the faces of the people who put music into the content, right?
Mhm.
You have a music supervisor that you know? Do you know what they're working on? They send out briefs all the time if they need an original song. Again, if you don't have any of those, like it might take a while to build up those relationships,
Mhm.
but libraries are for everyone. You can always put your music into a library and make sure you're putting it to like who's one? APM or
APM.
APM
Okay.
or Audio Network, or there's so many music libraries. You submit your music, they want all the information and it lives in that library. And guess what? A music supervisor says, I need something quick and easy, and they go in this library, they might pick your song. You know what I mean? Flood it. There's so many different angles, but yeah, it's either go to a library or build relationships with the people who put music into film.
Okay. Okay. So basically do what you did. Get to know all the music supervisors and all the movies that you watch and hunt them down.
You know what I mean? Or have a relationship. You already know one of my best friends is PJ. She's a recording artist.
Right.
She's built a really good working relationship with the rapper Common. Common does a lot of his music is placed in film all the time.
Yeah,
and he's built a reputation for that. So people look to him. And now PJ is working with him a lot. So now they look to her. You know what I mean? And there's so many projects now that, PJ's been synced a few times in the different shows. Music supervisors know about her. She's been in Insecure and I think The Real Housewives. She's done a song for Fast and the Furious 7, I believe. But again, it's not just the labels. She's made relationships outside of her label that, put her in the face of the people who put the music in. So.
Okay, what are 3 things that you would tell an aspiring artist that wants to get their music into movies and ads? What are 3 things you would tell them to do right now?
Do they have management? So
okay, so first thing you would say is make sure you have management.
They need somebody who represents them.
Okay.
While they're making the music, they need somebody that's fighting on behalf of them. I don't like to talk directly to the artist. They always don't think their stuff is hot. There needs to be a barrier. I would have an agent. I would have a
manager and agent.
Either. I think you can do either or.
Okay.
There are companies who. I just had a general meeting with someone who represents a bunch of composers and a bunch of songwriters and producers. And she pitched on their behalf. I said, hey, we're working on this children's thing, da, 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 da. She goes, okay, on my roster, I have this person, this person, this person. Let's set a meeting or just give me a brief so I can get it back to them and they'll cook up something tonight. We'll have something to you by Monday, right? And that takes down, a lot of times speaking with the artist, right? You're so invested and involved that
it gets sticky.
It gets sticky. You think your shit is the hottest shit that you ever heard that you just cooked up last night. You're really attached to it. We don't need that. Get you an agent or a manager who can be that barrier and rep for you, right? They will do it enough. And you need to be busy making music. Build up. So boom, have a manager, build up a catalog with various content, like varied content, give me something. And to me, I would go on Netflix and look at the different genres, right? Do you have a song that fits all of those categories? That, to me, that's a question. So build your catalog, get you somebody who represents you. And then I still stand by getting into a library just to get yourself started. You know what I mean? While you're waiting on your catalog to grow, while you're waiting for your agent to place something for you, maybe you might look up, just have some. I would go to a library. I wouldn't, even if maybe it's not your best shit, maybe it's just shit that you got sitting around. It ain't never did nothing for you. It's never making money for you. Because sometimes sometimes the brief is find me a terrible song.
Really?
Listen, sometimes it say, yo, find me a song that in this scene, it's a really bad garage band and we just need a song that sounds terrible. They might pick your song because it's trash. But guess what? Joke's on them. You made money off it, didn't you?
Right.
You know what I mean? So to me, get something in the library. Especially if you know, me and you know people who've been making music for years and the songs are just sitting on a hard drive, not doing nothing. Right. To me, I'm putting it in the library.
Why not? It's the same thing. It's like your hard drive. Like you said.
It's just like your hard drive, and somebody might pick something up, and maybe you might be offended because they said it was a bad garage band song. But guess what?
You get that check.
To me, that's it.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. We're starting to run out of time here, but I do want to ask you what's next for Cae Green.
Man, I've always had aspirations, even beyond what I'm doing now. And it's part of the reason I've jumped around a lot, right? I worked in radio and always in music, but I think I want to be in the arts, but I want to be well-versed. You know, I would love to produce content. Like I've said, I've got a story on my heart like anybody else. You know what I mean? Me and PJ have been, talking about, getting these stories off of our hearts onto paper and getting them pitched somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe that leads to me wanting to direct, though I can't foresee me doing that. But
I can see that. Stop it.
I don't know. Producing and writing for sure, and then even, again, I work for a tech company and I've had some tech ambitions. I'm looking at y'all and I'm like, yo, I want my money to work for me as well. So all these investments, I'm building a portfolio that way. And man, I want to leave a legacy that I lived every day to the fullest. And so whenever my clock run out, I'm happy, I'm content. And that's what I'm doing.
Yells cut, I'll be
fine. Listen, when the director yells cut, I'll be fine. I'm forever young. That's my shit. But you already know what it is. But
facts.
Yeah, that's it. Just building my legacy. You know what I mean? Remember the name. And I think that's it.
All right. So Cae, how can people get in contact with you?
I'm everywhere as Cae Green, CaeGreen. Yeah, I'm on all social networks or whatever.
All right. Oh man, this was like this conversation was good for my soul. To be honest with you, I remember we had those talks back in the day. Well, we always have these talks, but this felt good. I'm glad that we were able to get it on the podcast. It'd be the first one, and for people to actually like feel this and see it and hear it from you and from us. You know what I mean? You're gonna be all right.
Thank you, brother. Like you already know, you're my brother for life. Anywhere I go, any opportunities that come my way, I just want to grow together and separately, and then come back together and build off what we're doing, and we've been doing that for a decade or more. So some time.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
Thank you for having me as your first guest. I'm humbled by that opportunity, and it's all love, brother.
It's only up from here, Cae.
Anything. So
all right. Well, listen, you go back to your 25 movies on your slate. We will be in contact.
Yes, love, brother.
Right. Love you too. Later.